All right, what up, y'all? AWB, I'm back at it. I'm getting ready to talk about this crazy bill that Governor DeSantis put in place to what did he put this in place to do? He says to help first responders and all that, but what it seems like is that he doesn't want the public to hold law enforcement accountable, and he wants to erase transparency. So we're gonna go ahead and check out this bill. See what they got going on. Because we got to talk about it. We got to talk about it. What's up, everybody? What's up? What's up? Y'all make sure y'all drop a like on the video when y'all get in the chat. But yeah, and tell me what y'all think about this bill. Let's go ahead and read it. So it says anyone who enters the 25-foot zone after being warned could see 60 days of jail time. Starting next year, first responders in Florida will have a new tool at their disposal to provide themselves space to do their job in public, and potentiality obscure the sightliness of onlookers and devices. So what this law is saying is that they're gonna implement this rule to give 25 feet of space when I guess the police are, I don't know what you want to see, creating a scene. Because what if they beating on somebody and you trying to film it and hold them accountable and have some transparency, but they tell you to back up. They tell you to back up, and so you can't see the scene anymore. Like, this is why would he really write this into law? Why would he really make this bill? It just doesn't seem like it's for the people, which is obviously not. So Governor Ron DeSantis signed legislation SB 184 enabling police, firefighters, and paramedics to establish a 25-foot no-go zone around themselves. Hold on. I'm gonna try to look up a real 25 feet is far. Why can't I find? I wish I had an example of a 25-foot area. Hold on, y'all. I'm gonna try to find that. So not only did they double the 10-foot rule. All right, this look like the best I can find right now. Hold on. Let me see some examples right here. But let me finish reading this first. Then I'm gonna show y'all what 20. No, matter of fact, let me show you now. This is what 25-foot look like from the end of this room all the way to here. Is 25 foot. So they saying 25 foot all around. That's crazy. Why would you need that much space? This is probably about 10 right here. This was the 6 feet bubble. So they want how many 6 feet away? So COVID, they were saying they wanted you 6 feet apart. They're saying they want that times what? 4. They want you 4 COVID bubbles away. Let's look at this one. Look, this is 6 feet. This was the corona space. Now they have you. They want you to double this, double the 8 feet, and add what? Add almost 10 more feet to that. So they want this. Man, why would they need that much space? Look how far 25 feet is, man. Look how far that is. It to back up 25 feet, they would have to yell at you pretty much. You couldn't even hear somebody 25 feet away. So if they was beating on somebody and and the person was trying to speak, you couldn't even hear it. Your camera probably wouldn't even pick up what was going on. Yeah, MGM, that's exactly what we're doing. We're looking at this law right now. Hey, Claudette. Yeah, so let me go back to it. I just wanted to show an example of how far 25 feet is and why that's crazy that he wrote 25 feet. I can understand 10 feet, but not 25. You want double plus 5 more? Come on, man. That's crazy. So he signed that bill. Anyone who enters the area to harass, impede, or threaten them after receiving a warning will face up to 60 days in prison and a $500 fine. It goes into effect January 1st. Now, it's very important wording that they're using right here. So it says anyone who enters the area to harass, impede, or threaten them after receiving a warning will face up to 60 days in prison or a $500 fine. So what are they considering harassment? That's what they're not clarifying. What are they considering harassment? What are they considering impeding? And I mean threatening is obvious, but those two, they would have to define that before, like if somebody got arrested for this, they would have to say what are you defining as harassment and what are you defining as impeding. That I'm sure that would be the argument of the lawyer. So it's then says, I am proud to support the men and women of law enforcement throughout the state. DeSantis said Friday, today's legislation will ensure law enforcement can do their jobs without threat of harassment. So you saying they can do their job without anybody saying anything to them, no matter if they doing. That's crazy. It's crazy that DeSantis act like he doesn't know that most law enforcement are corrupt and egotistical tyrants, and it's a good majority of them that are real life psychopaths. And you're going to give psychopaths more space to do their psycho activities is crazy. But I keep reading. While blue states vilify and defund the police, Florida will continue to be the friendliest state in the nation towards our law enforcement community. Y'all, what? Man, that's why Florida is crazy, man. I'm telling you, I be out there and y'all just don't know. Florida is crazy. I remember somebody was talking about, oh, you when I first was out there, exercising my rights, they were saying, oh, you sound scared or nervous or whatever. Did you not hear that? Florida it remains to be the friendliest towards law enforcement. Get out of here. Why wouldn't you be cautious? Why wouldn't you be nervous? Like, come on. They're on their side. They're telling you they're on their side. Alex Rizzo, who sponsored up to 30 feet, various measuring distance up to 30 feet and for some several sessions. So what's the point of them having the police tape now? If it's 25 feet, they don't even need to put up police tape anymore. And how are they measuring 25 feet? Just off their they guesstimating 25 feet. So how would they even use that in a real scenario when you get to court and they saying, well, you weren't 25 feet back? All the lawyer have to say is, did you take out a measuring tape to measure if they were 25 feet away? Or did you just guesstimate? How did you guesstimate? Well, what if they were 20 feet away? Or what if they were 30 feet away and you thought it was less than 25? Like, come on. And you know that's possible because when they're in high stress situations that they create themselves, everything looks different. Everything seems like the person is being defiant, or they make excuses for everything. So why wouldn't it be the case that they were so caught up in whatever was going on that they thought that the person was 30 feet away, but in the heat of the moment they thought they were only 20 to 15 feet? It's crazy. And that's a real possibility. That's not like something too far away in thinking. So what else we got? Rizzo does his measure the Halo bill by authorizing it. He said the governor and legislator are letting every law enforcement and first responder in the state know that we not only stand with them, but we will continue to do whatever we must to protect and serve them as they protect and serve us. That's a statement right there. Wow. The bill Senate sponsored since 2023 has been highly regarded. Republican Senator Brian Avila, who who this year originally proposed a 14-foot distance, which he explained is the length of an average car. I could I can understand that more, but 25 feet is crazy. 25 feet is the long accepted reactionary gap for police. Get out of here. You need 25 feet to react. The distance officers must keep between themselves and potential aggressor to respond to a sudden threat if suspects' hands aren't visible. So somebody can be walking up. It could be a cold day, somebody walking up or walking by with their hands in their jacket, and they assume like this is crazy. This I don't know how long this bill can actually stand. It's too it's too crazy. No way. This has got to be challenged. And this is why I need 100 members, because in order to challenge things like this, you know, you need support, because you're actually going to have to probably take this, you know, further than you want to. But, I'm only doing that if I have backing with that. It ain't just finna be me. Avia said it's about keeping first responders safe in crowded, high stress situations such as during spring break in South Florida, and where they and the people they're trying to help are at greater risk of harm. So they saying this is for spring break and like maybe concerts or something. But no, that's still not right. Even so, what if the person is not doing nothing but just standing there recording or standing there observing the situation? Are they going to call that harassment and impeding? What is that's what they got to define here. And that's why, like, you got to go to these. The people have to go to these meetings, or representative of the people have to go to these meetings and ask the questions like, okay, what is considered harassment? But let's keep going. So it says in some of these cases, you don't know what people in the audience could potentially have on them. What? You never know what somebody has on them. Like, come on. That's what does the civil rights lawyer say? Freedom is scary. Deal with it. You don't know what was the reason or rationale for the brawl or conflict. You certainly don't know how many victims you have until you've arrived on the scene, he said. You're coming into a situation that is very tense, very up tempo, and if you don't stabilize it, gain control, it could really boil over into something bigger. Yeah, that's because y'all don't practice de-escalation. Y'all want to get there and just escalate and gain control, and you thinking, okay, well, if that doesn't work, let's start taking people out. Critics of the measure, including a majority of Miami-Dade commissioners who voted against a 2021 resolution supporting it, view the restriction as veiled attempt to stop citizens from filming cops who behave badly. So a lot of Miami-Dade County commissioners voted against it. So all those commissioners that voted against it, they're really they may not be 100% for the people, but they definitely can they definitely know when the tyranny is just going overboard. Hold on, let me get back to the chat, see what y'all got to say about this. What's up, Jersey Watcher? Um, Exactly. Exactly, Miss. That's the thing. You like they're using this. I don't think this is necessarily this is just a way so they have another reason to take you to jail. That's it. But then you would have to but then you have to go through that. Like you have to deal with this. I mean, the maximum uh the maximum that you would be dealing with is a $500 fine or 60 days in jail, which is crazy for just for standing too close. Like, come on now. For standing too close. Right, Claudette. That's the thing. Like what are they considering harassment or impeding? Because what is that would have to be that would be the main question I'm asking. What is harassment? What is their definition of harassment and what is their definition of impeding? That's what I would want my lawyer to be asking or trying to figure out. And they said you have to have the with the intention of doing something. Then they have to prove intent. They have to prove that you are intentionally trying to uh interfere. So basically this is interfering. Um this is this is a charge for interfering, which you can't interfere anyway, or obstruction, but those have to be you have to really be obstructing, like you have to be standing in the way, or you have to be doing something. Just you there and speaking is not harassment. Just because you're there and you're filming is not harassment. So what are they considering harassment? That's the thing. If they're saying if you just standing there and the police doesn't like your presence, that means you're harassing them. Come on now, that's not gonna fly. OTS of them ain't never been AWB. They see nothing but what the news spews. Exactly. That's crazy. He doesn't. That's the thing. This is a governor who told you that he doesn't care about the people. He cares more about law enforcement because they're gonna protect him. He's backing them because they're gonna protect him. He doesn't care. He doesn't him and the people who fund whatever he got going on. He don't care nothing about the people. And after signing a bill like this, it's proof. It's nothing he could do now or nothing he could say that would get me to vote for him or think that he's for the people. Nothing. Nothing. You pass a bill like that, that's crazy. He said it didn't work with the 9-foot bill. Why is DeSantis special? It's all corruption. You know, we definitely gotta get together, maybe put together a petition for that or something. But that's definitely not gonna, this is why I want the 100 members. I want to be able to really make impactful changes on a grand scale because it's I definitely me myself, I know I could put up a good argument against this bill. So I know if I had the backing of lawyers and not just me, the backing of at least 100, people, solid people. Come on now. We'll get petitions signed, we'll get our thoughts as citizens. We'll get that in front of them and let them know that we ain't going for that. But let's keep going. It could create additional impediment, blah blah blah. Orlando Democratic representatives say noted that many recent anti-brutality changes in the law would not have happened if citizens weren't able to closely record law enforcement. So that's what I'm saying. So they're making this, he's saying this bill is so you can't harass and impede or threaten officers. So which one is it? Are you saying, is he simultaneously saying that recording an officer is harassment and impeding? What is he saying? This, you really got to get into this. The only reason we know what happened to George Floyd is because a girl who was filming his murder close by, she said, adding that those supporting the change are more concerned with the comfort of police officers than it is with truth and justice. Rizzo and Avilia maintained throughout the bill progress this year that nothing in its language precludes recording police. Okay, that's good. Avia called doing so a constitutionally permissible action ahead of the final vote on the bill last month. Ahead of a final vote on the bill last month. So exactly. So this, I think cops are gonna try to use this to stop us from recording, but that's not what this bill is saying. The bill, and that's what cops do. They think they'll use something that they think supports what they're saying, but it really doesn't. Like when I was in Tampa and I was in that, was it court building? I believe it was, or it was some building, but the cop came there and read off some policy or judge order or something he read off, and he was trying to say that it didn't say recording, and that bills that what he read said nothing about recording. And then I asked him to read it again. He realized he was on camera, and he said, and he wanted me to turn my camera off because he didn't want to read the bill or read whatever policy, judge order, judicial rule, whatever he said it was. He didn't want to read that again on camera because it disproved what he was saying. This is crazy, but this is what they do. They'll try to use something like this to, and they may actually use it. They may actually take you to jail for this. Yeah, the charge is going to be dropped or is nothing going to be sustained, but you still got to go through that process. And, nobody wants to go through that. So the judge passed 85 to 27 in the House and 39 to 1 in the Senate, with Democrats exclusively casting no votes. So I know a lot of people talk about Democrats and everything like that, but the Democrats knew that this was not a good bill. I don't agree with everything that the Democratic Party is about, but the fact that they voted no on this, but Republicans voted yes, says a lot about the parties. So, but it garnered some support from left side of the aisle as well, including Kissimmee rep, I guess that's Republican, Vic Torres, a retired New York transit detective, in Miami Senate, Jason Pizzo, a former prosecutor. Pizzo suggested that 25 feet might not be enough in some cases and recommended that the bill allow on-site first responder to set the distance on a case-by-case basis. He noted that 25, how crazy is that? He noted that 25 feet would not be enough after June 21 condo collapse in what? In Surfside, nor would it be sufficient after 9/11? What? Come on now. This guy is absolutely ridiculous, bro. How do you bring what? He bring up a building collapsing and 9/11 for this? For a bill that's saying, come on, man. I thought the building was for spring break. I thought it was for spring break. What happened? That distance to get back is like a mile, he said. Come on. This is reasonable, but I think we're going to have a lot of people saying this is 25 feet and refusing to move back more when for their own safety and own good, 100 feet might be more appropriate. Get out of here, Pizzo. I'm glad. And he was a former prosecutor, Terrible. Imagine the cases he was on. That said, Pizzo continued the distance argument is symbolic of a broader need for police to wear body cameras, which studies have empirically shown is often exculpatory to many law enforcement officers. All right, y'all. What y'all got to say about that? That is, man, they can still veto it and make him rewrite it. He got to, but the thing is, people have to know what's going on. I don't. How many people are really thinking about this bill right now, or really looking at it? Besides people in like this world, or this community. Most everyday people are not even realizing what this is saying or what they're trying to do here. What's up, Gma? I'm back in Florida and likely returning to. Yeah, man, this is unbelievable what they're trying to do. Exactly. And that's the thing about this bill. So all they're saying is that you can't get closer than 25 feet to harass police officers. Okay. All I have to say is I'm not harassing you. That I mean, is it just if everything's subjective, then everything's subjective. If they think I'm harassing them, but I'm not, I'm saying that I'm not. If I got video to show that I'm not doing anything but recording, so this is what's gonna probably have to happen. You're gonna have to record and just not say nothing. I mean, you could exercise your freedom of speech, but once you start exercising your freedom of speech, now they say you're interfering. Now they're saying you're harassing. No matter, like, come on. All right, Mitch, take care, man. 25 foot, Gma. They're saying 20. They want 25 feet, and this former prosecutor, Pizzo, is talking about that might not be enough. He's saying, 1 mile might be reasonable. 1 mile away might be reasonable in certain situations. Then he bring up 9/11 in a building collapsing. Come on. And just to let y'all know, they're charging you the charge attached to this is a second-degree misdemeanor, and the penalties for it can reach up to 60 days in jail and up to a $500 fine. It's categorized as a second-degree misdemeanor. So it's this, and now they call it a tool. He says he giving them tools to fight against people, to fight against being harassed. He giving them tools to do that. Really, these are weapons to use against the people. And it's a shame that a governor is more about law enforcement than actually serving the people. Who voted for him? Who voted for him? It's crazy, man. This is absolutely nuts. They call it the Halo bill. $25. Yeah. So Gma, what would you consider a emergency situation? Because what's gonna happen here is that they're gonna be on the traffic stop and they're gonna be abusing somebody, and people are gonna want to film it and see and catch it on camera, and they're gonna say they're gonna scream at them, back up, get back, get back, get back. And the person doesn't back up. Now they're gonna take them to jail and try to use this to charge them with it, to charge them for something. Now you got people just exercising their rights and being arrested for it. Still, let me show you how far 25 feet is. That's 25 feet. Hold on. Let me share with y'all. This is 25 feet. 25 feet from the point of the front of this house all the way to this fire pit right here. That's 25 feet. How could you? And hold on. I think I see another one. Maybe this. This is 25 feet, man. Y'all, that is far away. That is far away. And they saying this is not enough. Imagine you having a 25-foot circle bubble around you everywhere you went. A 25-foot bubble everywhere you go. $25 right here. This, they say you're supposed to be a certain length away from your big screen TV. 25 feet is right here. That's crazy. They say this 25 feet, but this don't look 25 feet. I would have to actually take a measuring tape and see how far 25 feet is. Anyway, let's get back to it. Cars dents, ambulances, people wounded. They're trying to help. Yeah, I can understand certain situations where you don't want people too close, but but the thing is, this is going to be abused. They're gonna abuse this bill and try to gear it just towards people who exercising their rights. You know, this is not just okay. They trying to get them more space. they're calling it a 25-foot no-go zone around themselves. And my question is, if the scene is that serious, why wouldn't they just put up tape? Isn't that what the police tape is for? And from what I see, 25 feet looks like the distance that they take things off at. The only thing this bill will lead to is more excessive force and abuse of power. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about just imagine them and what they're gonna scream on. They're gonna turn on their body cam and scream, "Stop her!" Like they just gonna scream anything to. So when that video shows in court, they can say, "Well, you hear me saying stop harassing," and they'll try to spin that narrative because they're good at that. So imagine this situation where they're saying you're harassing them and they scream harassment, harassment. All you doing is, standing there recording. And if you get arrested, they may take your evidence, destroy it, and then the only thing that is left is their word and their body cam. So you know how they make things look from their perspective, and then you don't have your perspective to argue against it, or for some reason your evidence can't be admitted into court or something like that. Now you dealing with a lying, tyrannical cop and likely a biased judge who's going to support them. What do you do at that point? But let's check this out right here. This is him, I think, announcing the bill right here.
In the last however many years, yes. I was like, what's the population growth been? And he told me that in the last 10 years, the county's population has grown by 43%. I mean, that's incredible. I know there's good and bad that come with that because you get traffic and stuff, but I think it just shows you that people vote with their feet. Obviously, people have come to Florida, but they look to St. Johns County as a high quality of life. And part of that is because I think that you have really good law enforcement that are working really hard to keep everybody safe. And that's part of the reason why we're here today, to be able to sign a couple really good pieces of legislation. But before we do that, I want to recognize everybody who was with us. We do have our commissioner for the state Florida Department of Law Enforcement, Mark Glass. Of course, we have Sheriff Hardwick for St. Johns County Sheriff's Office. We have Representatives Doug. Here is where the rubber meets, who works here at the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office. We've developed a track record in Florida of supporting law enforcement that is quite simply second to none. We understood how important it is to have safe communities. And the way you do that is to support the people that are putting the uniform on and risking their lives to keep us safe. This became all important that we took that very clear position when 4 or 5 years ago, you started to see movements to defund law enforcement. You saw a lot of attacks waged against law enforcement, and you really saw law enforcement be a job that a lot of people in many of these jurisdictions said, hey, this is a thankless thing. They had dedicated their careers to it, and they had enough, and then they've leave. So we saw that as.
So what I noticed about DeSantis is that he takes on a lot of the mannerisms of Donald Trump in the way that he's speaking and the way that he's moving his hands. I think he studied Donald Trump and it has taken on his persona in a way.
Actually an opportunity for the state of Florida, given our posture was much different. And so a couple of years ago, we enacted $5,000 recruitment bonuses for new law enforcement officers. Some of that is recruiting from other states, but also young people that decide to go into the profession.
So they bribe them with money to come be tyrants. And and the thing is, so you give them all of this extra money, but no extra training on how to de-escalate, how to you're not giving them no training on the Constitution, but you steadily throwing money at them to get them to join to do what? Be attack dogs for him? That's all I see him doing. I see him building this uh building this up for him to keep him safe because he knows that people aren't going to like the things that he's putting in place. So he wants to make sure that he has law enforcement on his side to protect him, not the people.
Florida are eligible for it as well, and we've had success in both of those. But if you think about so the total bonus program, I'm going to announce in a second. But we've had people from 49 different states come to Florida to join law enforcement at the municipal, county, or state level, including more than 400 from 3 states alone. Could you guess them? California, Illinois, and New York. And
he just named some of the most corrupt states for police in the whole country. The most corrupt cops from these are he named California and New York. Those two are known for police brutality. They're known for corruption, and he's saying that as it's like it's a proud thing to have those officers come into Florida. Like, come on. So they're running away from their most. This is crazy. They're running away from their corrupt states and coming to Florida to carry on their brutality and corruption. And they're getting paid bonuses to do it. Florida is about to get real crazy. And it's been crazy since I can remember it. But now it's going to be, I think it's going to start looking like martial law in Florida.
And if you think about what's happened around the country, some of these areas, St. Louis Police Department, all-time low in terms of the number of officers. Chicago, 1,600 fewer officers than they had in January of 2019. Of course, New York City averaging 200 officers leaving the force every month. That's not by accident. They're doing that because they don't have the support of the community. A lot of these politicians weaponize against them. And a lot of the laws are so lax that it gives the criminals the advantage to be able to commit crimes really without major repercussions. And so
the criminals are them. They're the criminals. They're the ones going out there violating people's rights, going to situations, escalating it and making it a problem versus de-escalation. They're the ones who aren't doing any type of real investigation. They're just going out there trying to gain control and have compliance, even when they're not aware of the situation, or they don't even have a clue what's going on. All they know is that they just want to control everything about the scene or whatever before they have any information on anything. All they think about control. And he's giving them the say so to do that. So you got to imagine being a victim of police brutality in Florida now.
Bonus program has been successful. In fact, I can say that very soon, because this stuff happens on a daily basis, but probably by the end of this month, we will have hit 5,000 officers who have qualified for our $5,000 bonus program. And that's a big deal. And it's made a big difference. And of course,
it has not made a bit difference, except in his case, because he has their support. So Basically, what he did was recruit his own army. That's pretty much what he did. He just recruited his own army, and he bribed them with $5,000 a piece. And he did that to 5,000 officers. So how much is that? I think that's is that 2.5 million? I think that's 2.5 million. Let me make sure. I'm pretty sure that's 2 million, 2.5 million. Oh, hold on. All right. No, I'm wrong about that. It's 25 million. Not 2.5 million, it's 25 million. He gave 25 million
after taxes.
Yeah, he just recruited his own army.
And so whatever we're paying is more than that. And then they net $5,000, which is really, really important. So we've distributed $32 million to date in that program. The legislature has continued to fund that in this year's budget. We're still going through the budget, and we'll finish that hopefully in the not too distant future. But I can tell you the 17 million that the legislature has put to continue our bonus program for law enforcement officers has been approved. And so we're going to have that for one more year. And that's really, really significant. We've also done things to ensure that local governments, now St. Johns County would not do this, but we've got a big diverse state. Any municipality could have a handful of people on a city council that would do dumb things. So we several years ago enacted a policy to block local governments at the municipal and county level from defunding the police. We think it's an insane policy. We don't think people should why would you want to
So everybody in there is likely law enforcement or attached to law enforcement. That's why they clap. But anybody who's actually dealt with the police, like being on the other side, come on, man. And when they say defund the police, they're saying stop paying for them to give away taxpayer dollars through lawsuits, through fancy police cars that they paint the thin blue line on, for all the vehicles that they don't care. They're getting to ride around in all these brand new vehicles that they don't care about. Like we just watched the deposition of an officer who crashed and damaged her car at least 3-4 times, and all they did was tell her, "Oh, you can't take that car home for 30 days. Then after that, you good." So that's what defund the police is. It's not saying that we just need to get rid of law enforcement altogether. We need to stop overfunding them to violate us. So when the funding needs to go to a better training, we need to find, and that's what they need to put on display. What is their training? And because right now, all we see is that they're trying to escalate the situation. They're trying to escalate the situation by gaining control and gaining compliance. And until they get that, all they're gonna do is keep raising it. They're gonna keep escalate until at some point they've either beaten somebody, shot somebody, or tased somebody, or pepper sprayed them, or beat them into submission.
The fund
for anything, not just for anything. It doesn't have to be a real criminal. It doesn't have to be somebody who actually did anything. It's anything and anybody. Whatever they feel,
a police canine. I mean, come on. Uh, we don't think that they should be doing. We don't
Look,
think
the
there's a
dog know.
justification for it. And what happens is they do this, and when they've done this, they even the really anti-police jurisdictions have had to reverse because it's so crazy. So we don't want to put in a situation where any of our citizens are put at risk because you may have a handful of yahoos do something really stupid. So we're
It's not a handful. It's more than a handful. The handful is the ones who actually are doing their job.
the first state in the country to stop that in its tracks, and that's been very, very successful. We've also introduced law enforcement education initiatives in our high schools, and so each school district now is encouraged to establish public safety telecommunications training programs, as well as law enforcement officer explorer programs in the public schools. And part of that is, you go, you students can go, they can come to a sheriff's department, they can meet people who are doing this. And, some students may have a different understanding of this prior to seeing that firsthand experience. And so I think what it's done is it actually causes some students to want to get involved in law enforcement because they see everybody working hard and how gratifying that can be. We've also created the Florida.
Most people get into law enforcement because they see money, they see power, and they see immunity. That's it. Uh, that's all. I'm gonna do a stream, talking about officer safety and how that makes absolutely no sense because cops are the most safe people walking the streets in the country anywhere. They're the safest. How can you not be safe? Look at the weapons on him. You got weapons on your chest, on your hip. You got a dog. You got your dogs with your fellow officers. You got squad car. You got a radio to where you can have uh 50 officers in one spot on your call. Like, how can you not be safe? How can you not be safe? Anybody else, think about it. Anybody else automatically is at a disadvantage when they're dealing with the police. Just think, anybody, you already at disadvantage. Their hand is already on their gun when they approach you. So if you pull a gun, you're likely to be shot first. Um, if you decide that you want to attack an officer, they have weapons, and it's going to be a lot of repercussions if you decide to. So the mental aspect of it as well.
Florida Law Enforcement Academy Scholarship Program. So that's tuition, fees, and up to $1,000 of eligible education expenses for trainees enrolled in a law enforcement officer basic recruit training program. We do things like Bright Futures for college education. So this is kind of the law enforcement answer to that. We've also made dependent children of law enforcement officers eligible to receive the school choice scholarships to attend the school of their choice. Now, that was important when we did it. Now we've done so much school choice that pretty much everyone is covered at this point. But still, I think that was something that a lot of people really, really appreciated. And it shows that we appreciate the service. Where crime right now in the state is at a 50-year low. And that only happens when you have people that are wearing the uniform that are keeping people safe. If you don't support them, if they feel like they're under the gun, you are going to see crime rise. That's just the nature of it. So we have a overall crime down nearly 10% year over year. Murder down 14, burglary down 15%, robbery down 17%. And look, we do good stuff at the state with policy. That's important. If you have the bad policy, I mean, if there are no cash bail and they're releasing people all the time, you could be the best police officer in the world, have the best force. You're going to, the thumb's going to be on the scale against you. So our role has been important and we're proud of that. But ultimately, here is where the rubber meets the road. And we have the best law enforcement officers in America in the state of Florida. So we're proud of that. Now, another thing that we did was recognize that.
So I have evidence against that because I have plenty of evidence against that, but definitely not the best. Whatever. That's why just politicians, I don't know how they can do it. Like they know they're up there saying complete bullshit, BS, and they can just do it with a straight face and amazing.
Our canines are part of ensuring law and order, and we wanted to make sure. And unfortunately, you'll have some of these perpetrators harm police dogs. They will do that. So we signed legislation a couple years ago to make sure that emergency service vehicles like ambulances can also transport injured canines, police canines, to a veterinary clinic to ensure that they get the care that they need. And that can save the lives of some of these canines, just having that. We've also signed legislation increasing penalties on those who harass, injured, or kill a police canine. We view them going.
Harass, kill, or come on. Who's harassing a police dog? The only person who would kill a police dog is a person being attacked by a police dog. That's it.
After canines is them going after us, and we're going to throw the book at them when they do that.
And they clapping for that.
Now, when the canines, obviously we all have our terms of service. When the canines get to the point where they are retiring from the force, a lot of times the handlers will adopt them, or other people will want to adopt the dogs. The problem is that it is not necessarily easy to do that in terms of some of the medical costs. So we launched a program a couple years ago to ensure that caregivers of retired police canines received the stipend to cover the veterinary bills. And today I'm proud to announce that in less than 2 years, we already have 86 retired police dogs that have found.
Exactly. They want to save police dogs, but we saw the video of them letting a man die in the street that told them he couldn't breathe, he needed help. They let him die in the street, but they will take a police dog in the ambulance in a heartbeat. Come on, man. Steph and I agree with that. Cut poverty and crime will go down. Yeah. Stefan, we don't agree a lot of the time, but I agree with that. Because poverty is one of the ultimate motivations for crime.
On good homes and receive veterinary care at no charge to the owner. And that makes a big difference. Yeah, that's good, isn't it? You're going to be taken care of. You don't got to worry about anything. It's all good. So all that brings me to today's legislative action. I'm signing a couple pieces of legislation, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. And why are these bills necessary? Well, one of the reasons I think they're necessary is this issue that just happened with the media is running that there were 96 shots fired. And they're trying to put the police officers under the gun. So you see these headlines, and they're trying to cause division in society. They're trying to create a narrative. They know what they're doing. And sometimes you got to read like.
So it's funny that he talks about creating a narrative when that's exactly what he does as a politician. That's exactly what he does. That's his job.
8 paragraphs down. And then when you admit that this guy was shooting at the police officers first. So how are you in a situation where it's at all controversial to have a criminal suspect shooting at and hitting one of the police officers, firing shots, and they're not supposed to be able to respond in kind? They not only have a right to respond in kind, they have a duty to respond in kind when somebody is using lethal force against them. So how this is trying to be packaged into some narrative against the police officers, and they're trying to de-emphasize the fact that this guy shot, I think he shot his entire magazine, because he shot at least 10 shots. So it was 10 to 12 shots he was shooting. So then, of course, these other officers are going to respond in kind. That just shows you, though, what I think people in uniform can be up against.
I don't like that argument, only because why is that the only example that you use to show that dynamic, but not the dynamic of police brutality that happens a lot? Why not show the dynamic of police violating rights, because they do it a lot? And okay, I understand that if somebody is shooting at you, you shoot back, of course. But the thing is, police have bulletproof vests, and they're usually hiding behind their police car. Most criminals aren't going at the police with bulletproof vests on or anything like that. And the 96 shots were, after about 20 shots, the rest of those were more about making a statement than anything else.
Because whether you did the right thing is not what some of these folks in the media care about. The media cares about is can they contort that in a way that is going to cause titillation, that's going to get more clicks, that's going to drive more viewership, that's going to cause more controversy. And they're perfectly willing to use a faithful law enforcement officer who's done it by the book. They're totally willing to throw that person under the bus if they think it can further the narrative. And the facts don't matter to these folks. And we've seen it time and time again in some of these situations. So this is the context that I think that we're dealing with here when we're talking about that. And the fact that that was portrayed the way it has been in some of these media outlets has been really, really disturbing to try to de-emphasize the fact that this guy fired on the police first. So we're going to do a couple bills that I think provides support for people who are wearing the uniform and recognizes that, we've got some strange currents going on in our society right now that really seek to delegitimize law enforcement and what they're doing. So the first bill, SB 184, is going to prohibit the harassment of a police officer or first responder when they're actively doing their job. You shouldn't be in a situation where you're at a traffic stop, you're responding to a call of someone in distress, and then you have people come trying to interdict or trying to harass you from performing your duty. So if you do that, we view that as a problem, and now you're going to be held accountable. The other bill is HB 601, and what it's going to do is it really puts the kibosh on these extrajudicial investigations against law enforcement. They'll set up these things called citizen review boards, usually in these very tilted politically jurisdictions. They'll stack it with activists, and they'll just start reviewing things and trying to put people under the gun, even if there's no basis to do that. So we view that as very much a political weapon. We don't think that that will contribute to public safety at all. In fact, we think that that would hurt public safety. And so this bill really stops that from happening. If you have review boards, that's fine, but it's got to be done in ways where you have the sheriff or chief of police appointing people, because the sheriffs and the chief of police, they have an interest in ensuring that their personnel are conducting themselves appropriately as well. I mean, good order and discipline is very important, but it can't be people that have an agenda. So this bill is going to do that. I think it's going to be something that is going to give more peace of mind to people who are wearing the uniform. And that was the one thing that I hear when people come from some of these jurisdictions and move to Florida, get the bonus, and then they start serving, is they just have the radical difference. Yes, we have lower taxes, the weather, all that stuff, but they felt that the deck was stacked against them, that people wanted them to fail in their former jurisdictions, and they feel that they have a lot of support from the state, from the local government, and from the community here in the state of Florida. And that makes a huge difference. That's my morale is higher in Florida than it is in a lot of these jurisdictions. So we're going to keep it going. I want to thank the members of the legislature who are here today. Also thank those who could not be with us here today, who were involved in passing this legislation. I think that if you look at the run we've had over the last several years, I don't think there's anyone that can match what we've done to protect the citizens of this state, but particularly to ensure that we respect and protect the men and women who wear the uniform. So, all right, we're going to hear from some of our folks now. So I will first bring up Mark Glass, and then we'll hear from some of the other folks.
Thank you, Governor. I appreciate that. We are so fortunate to live in a state with a governor who champions our first responders. Can I get a... We talk about law enforcement a lot, but we also have our correctional and probation officers that the governor supports and our legislators support. We have our emergency medical and our fire department. They had...
All right. I don't really want to hear any more from these folks. If you want to check out the rest of that, because all they're doing is exactly what they were talking about with that the media does, spin a narrative and, you know, feed the people BS and act like they're trying to help the people when they are clearly trying to help themselves. You know, I just can't believe that they don't speak on they don't speak on any of the police brutality, any of the training that these officers are getting, that you can clearly see when they finally get into a deposition that they don't know what they're doing. They don't have any idea of what the law is. They're not trained on the law. And supporting law enforcement, but they don't follow the law. They don't even know what the law is. They don't know the laws. They don't know civil rights. They don't know, you know, or they do know and they just don't care. So it's just, you know, it's like the Twilight Zone, man. You just, everybody in this building knows that a good chunk of those law enforcement officers do not care about the law. All they want to do is exert power and control over a situation, and that's it. It's not like they really want to solve it. There are maybe a few of them actually going out there and solving, you know, cases and getting real criminals, people who actually break the law. But the majority and the bulk of them are just riding around harassing people and being revenue generators. Let's not act like we don't know that all they're doing is generating revenue, because most people aren't committing crimes. Most people aren't. Yeah, you have people who do, but most people aren't just going out there committing crimes. And I'm talking about actually committing a crime that has a victim attached to it. You know, taking somebody out, taking something from somebody. What's another crime that's, you know, assaulting someone in various ways? That's the same as harming somebody, but those actually have victims attached to it. But certain crimes, like, you know, certain things that they are pulling people over for and giving tickets for, is not, you know, and that they're taking people to jail for victimless crimes. I don't think you should ever go to jail for a victimless crime unless it's something where it was repeated constantly. Like, say you got fined for something, but you kept constantly doing it over and over again. Maybe then, but it would depend on how severe the victimless crime was. All right, Claudette. Have a good night. But what do y'all think about this? These are just some of my thoughts on it, but what do y'all think? It's called the Halo Bill. Unbelievable. What do y'all think about having a 20 that cops and first responders are able to have a 25-foot bubble around them? And if they tell you to back up, you have to back. Well, the bill isn't clear. They're saying, okay, you just can't be within this amount. You can't be within it in this distance if and be harassing them or what they say impeding. So what do they consider impeding? They can say, oh, well, my focus, I can't have split focus. And you're splitting my focus by being in this distance. So if you don't back up to this point, I'm gonna arrest you. Come on, man. That's why we need support when we're going out there. You know, because they're making it harder and harder to hold them accountable and have transparency. We know we can't trust their body cam footage because they redact the footage and delete the footage. So we have to have our own footage. And now if they arrest you, there's a good chance that if you were catching them doing something wrong, that they're going to try to delete the footage. So you pretty much have to live stream all the time. You have to live stream. But the live stream sometimes isn't good because of the signal. It's a lot of reasons why live stream is not always the best situation when you're going out there. But it seems like that's what you're gonna have to do because they're gonna try to spin. If you enter this zone and they don't like it, they'll make up anything and then arrest you for that. And you got to make sure you still have that footage. And the only way to guarantee it is to have it live. And they charging people with a second-degree misdemeanor. Yeah. Not only is training time for police officers short, they also do not teach they don't teach them on laws. They don't teach them on the Constitution. They don't teach them on respecting citizens. All they teach them how to do is control and gain compliance over people. That's it. They're not teaching them. They're teaching them how to inflict damage or inflict pain to get people to comply or gain control over them. They even teach them to go in. They teach them to yell like that. Officers aren't just going out there yelling because they want to yell. They're trained to do that. They're trained to yell because they think yelling is a way to de-escalate. They think yelling at somebody is a way to de-escalate situation because it's a part of gaining control and compliance over somebody. That's what they believe. It's crazy. 95 News said the First Amendment is eroding away. Exactly. With this 25-foot rule, they're saying that they're going to try to say you can't if you are within a certain distance and you are talking to the person telling them, hey, make sure you don't give up your rights. They can say you are harassing or impeding, and they can arrest you for that. Not saying that it will stand, or the charge will stand or anything like that, but they will arrest you for it and then let you deal with it later. That's how they operate. They'll let you they'll let you they'll throw whatever at you and see what sticks. They literally say that. Let's just throw whatever at them and see what sticks. And the governor act like that doesn't happen. He trying to make it seem like that's only few and far between, when he know that's not the truth. I know firsthand because I've been out there. I know firsthand. I didn't just, I don't just look at YouTube videos and think and make my decisions up. No, I've seen it firsthand from a kid all the way up to adult. I've seen the way they act. Yeah. It's, and this governor and Florida is they say Florida is the friendliest towards law enforcement. This is not good for, I don't think it's good for citizens who actually, citizens that want to stand up and hold police accountable. They're saying that they're always gonna side with law enforcement. So you got to know, when you go out there and you are exercising your rights, or you standing up for the people, know that the cards are stacked against you, because they've already told you that whose side that they're going to be on. So that goes for the police, the judges. If the governor is for law enforcement, then you got to know that the wall is stacked against you. The cards are stacked against you. And I could see if I could see, okay, I support the police, but I will admit that if he said this rather than what he said, then I could maybe have some trust in that. But the fact that he doesn't speak about, hey, I back them. I know that, they're, I know that they're not perfect. I know that we need training, and we're not just going to recruit. We're not just going to recruit 5,000 officers for 25 million. We're also going to put 5-10 million into training them to be better at what they do, or better at serving the people. He's saying that he's saying that he's there to serve them. How is the government there to serve itself? What sense does that make? And him as a governor saying that is absolutely crazy. That's him saying the government is there to serve itself. Where is the people? Where are the people in this equation? Where's the millions of dollars going to the people of the state? Outside of government. Crazy. He literally said that we're here to serve them. The government there to serve government. Since when is the government? Since when was the government created to serve itself? And people and they think that people aren't listening, or that people can't put it together. Like, come on. I don't think most people are stupid. I think most people are smart enough to, see things. I think most people are sensible and have enough intelligence to think critically and make logical decisions. But mainly to think critically about situations. Like if you think critically about him saying that, then you would understand that it's absolutely insane to say that government is there to serve government. And he said like they were proud of that. Look at this. This is what they say right here. This is a Republican representative, Alexis Rizzo, who has sponsored versions of the measuring with various distances up to 30 feet in some for some session. But anyway, Rizzo dubbed this measure the Halo bill by authorizing it. He said the governor and legislator are letting every and law enforcement officer and first responder in the state know that we not only stand with them, but we continue to do whatever we must to protect and serve them as they protect and serve us. That's not how that go. They are created to they are there to protect and serve the people. The people are not there to protect and serve them. So they're saying the government is there to protect and serve itself as it protects and serves itself. Like, come on. That's what this says. That's what this says. It's saying we as the government are there to protect and serve the government as the government protects and serves the government. They're just in the loop of protecting themselves. What do y'all am I going like what do y'all think about that? Am I making sense, or is that a rational thought that I'm having, or am I not interpreting that the right way, or how do y'all interpret that statement? Because that's how I interpret that statement. When I critically think about that statement, that's what I get from it. Cajun Randy, what's up? I say if his supporters were truly conservative, they would be against this. They have to. That is insane. I'm gonna keep it highlighted for y'all. Insane. You have to be like, come on. I don't know. I I think is going to happen with this bill. It's going to get a lot of pushback, and when they start charging people with this, it's then they're going to have a problem because it's going to be a lot of lawsuits following this right here because it's not clear at all. It's all it's saying is that they can't you can't have the intent to harass, impede, or threaten an officer. And what the cop would have to do is prove what they would have to do is prove that you had the intent to harass. Now, if you're there just with your camera recording as press, they can't. How are they gonna? How are they gonna turn that into you intentionally trying to harass. It's all subjective. It's all subjective because if you look at the facts, you say that person is standing there recording. You told them to back up, but they weren't interfering with you. You're saying that they were interfering because of what's going on in your mind. So, you want to bring up, oh, I can't have my attention on two things. Well, you can't police outside. You can't. Imagine somebody in the police like walking. It's just it doesn't make sense, and I think a lawyer would easily find the cracks and holes in this bill. Exactly, Randy. So that's what I'm trying to. So how would they classify it as harassment? Then okay, they can't use harassment. So now they'll use impeding. Now you were impeding. Well, how was I impeding when I wasn't approaching you? I wasn't doing any of that. I was standing there recording. Well, you impeded because you were too close and you took my attention away from what I was doing. That now you're impeding. Like, come on. No, they're gonna have to. You got to do better than that. Dealing with a decent lawyer, that's not gonna fly. And now you open the city up to civil litigation for wrongful imprisonment, violation of First Amendment rights, Fourth Amendment rights. Like it's they this bill is going to create lawsuits. I mean, Stephen, you can say real press, whatever you mean by real press. It is what it is, but every journalist is not going to be super nice. Some journalists are they're sharks. They're gonna go wherever. They're gonna get their story, and they're gonna speak however they want to speak. Everybody who's a journalist is not gonna go about it the same way. Or everybody who is pressed or who want to, even if the person isn't pressed, they can how do you say, they have the freedom of press. So even if they're not a journalist, they still have the right to free press. So if they want to go in there, if they want to go somewhere and record something for a story, that's all right. You don't have to be a certain way or go about it a certain way. You can just do it because it's your right to do so. Chile is not in jail for freedom of the press. He is in jail because a cop didn't like the fact that he called him a little doggy and told him to go do his job. That is why he's in jail right now. That's why he got his charge. He was in jail because the judge was biased in that case and let the cop, and his lawyer didn't call out the cop for lying on the stand. And the judge knew that the cop was lying, but she already had her bias about him because she didn't like him. That's it. She didn't like him, so that's why he's in jail right now. So it shows the layers of corruption in that county, in that state. That's why he's in jail. You can say I'm wrong, but that's the facts. The officer did not approach the officer was mad. The officer didn't go to try to detain him until he told him, until Chili said, go do your job, little doggy, or something like that. And you can see immediately after he said that, that is when the officer went to detain him. It was easy to see. Then when he got to court, the cop obviously lied on the stand. He said he did. First he said he didn't back up. Then the lawyer said so he backed up 0 feet. Well, he didn't back up 0 feet. He was moving his feet. It's what the cop said. He was moving his feet, but it wasn't the distance that the cop wanted him to move. But the cop never gave him a specific distance that he wanted him to back up to. He just assumed that he should know whatever he assumed that Chili should be able to read his mind and know the amount of feet that he wanted him to back up, but it's no law against it. Then after that, he switched his story. So first he made it, he was saying that Chili wasn't interfering when he was there. Then it became an issue of him interfering after the fact that, it's crazy. It was so much. You saying he backed up 2 feet. The cop didn't tell him how far he needed to back up. Then on top of that, the judge is biased about the whole entire thing. And his defense attorney didn't do a good job at defending him, pretty much. He didn't object to nothing. He didn't object to the cop line. He didn't follow up on the cop's BS story. Like, it's a lot of reasons why he is in the situation he's in. But the judge was biased. Yeah, so any charges here? Talking to the how is that interference? How is talking to the driver interference? That's not interfering. You're free to talk. You're free to talk to anybody. You're free to talk to anybody. If somebody is on the sidewalk being arrested, you can tell them, hey, don't give up your rights. Hey, don't. That's not against the law, and that's not why he arrested him. You act like, go watch the video. You can see right after he called him a little doggy and told him to go do his job, it's when the cop went to arrest him. That is when at that point, that's when he did it. He wasn't arresting him before that. He wasn't and saying all that. Everything was over by the time the driver wasn't there anymore. Everything was over. That's not interference. And that's not interference, and that's not why he arrested him. Because he told him to not speak to the driver or whatever until he stopped speaking to him. At that point, he told the cop, "Oh, go do your job, little doggy," or something like that, and the cop got mad. If you don't see that, then I don't know how you view things, but I can obviously see it. And I don't just look at things from my perspective. I'm saying, I try to look at things from many different angles to not be biased about a situation, but I'm not going to ignore the truth in what I see. If you're going to ignore that, then that's on you. Okay. You can say, okay. I don't care about Tilly personally. Honestly, I don't know him. I don't see him as I don't see him as nothing but somebody who does what he does. It's whatever. I am looking at the case and what happened in the case throughout the entire situation and how he ended up there. That's the only thing I look at. As far as his personality and the way he goes about things or whatever, that ain't got nothing to do with me. I'm talking about specifically what happened, what took place there. If he had a better lawyer that would actually try to defend him, then I think he would have made it out pretty. He would have made it out better at least. But I don't know how much that could happen if the judge is biased. You know, a lot of people have their personal opinions about Chilling. When I don't care about your personal feelings about him, I didn't express my personal feelings about him. Never did I express my personal feelings except to say that I don't agree with everything he does. But I can look past my personal feelings towards whatever and look at the facts of what actually happened and what happened in the video. You can obviously see that him calling the cop a little doggy is what triggered that cop. You can see it. And then when he gets in court, he lies on the stand. So he's a sworn officer that lied on the stand and abused his power, arrested him to begin with. So he abused his power and he lied on the stand, and the corrupt judge who was biased backed him up on it. The only person who I'm not really that upset with, even though that I think they did wrong as well, is the DA, because the DA did her job. She did it well. It's his defense that it's his lawyer that didn't step up to the plate when dealing with them. Contempt of everyone. Yeah, but those are my thoughts on it, and I haven't seen not everybody is corrupt in the system, but a lot are. No, that's just like every cop isn't a tyrant, but a lot are. You know, I'm not one of those people who think, oh, everyone's terrible and this and that. No, it's but a lot are. You know, I'm not anti-police. I'm anti-police that don't honor their oath. If you're a police officer and you don't honor your oath, then I'm anti that. But if you honor your oath and you are doing your job, like, you know, honoring your oath, then okay, you're just doing your job at that point. Then why are you staying in the U.S.? I wouldn't live in the U.S. personally. What does that have to do with anything? By me standing up and saying what's happening, you're saying why that makes no sense. It's your country, and you have the right to say what you don't like about your country. Like, come on. Well, in our country, you can. In other countries, you don't have that freedom. You can't talk. You can't talk like this in other countries about, you know, the leaders and everything like that. So we have the freedom to do it. That doesn't mean I shouldn't live there. What type of sense does that make? You talk about it so it can be a change for the better. Exactly. He He's saying why would I live? Why would I live in the U.S.? Because I want the U.S. to be. I want it to stand by what it's supposed to be about. Well, you obviously haven't watched all my videos because I have several videos showing uh, showing public servants in a positive light and law enforcement in a positive light. So you haven't watched all my videos because all my videos aren't, I'm not in my videos just bashing cops. I just put on display what's going on. Now, if it's a cop with just that's just incompetent to the highest level, then I'm gonna point that out. The reason you see it as the vast majority is because the vast majority of the time that's how they act. if cops treated me better, you would see it. I don't just post one thing. I post it all. I post the boring stuff. I post the stuff where a lot is happening, but I post everything. If nothing's going on, I still post that. But the reason you see what you see is because you see what I experience. It's not me just trying to show one thing. That's just that's just what I'm experiencing. Most of the time I go places, I'm dealing with tyrants. If I would go to a place and I'm not dealing with tyrants, then I talk about it. Even in the videos where I'm dealing with tyrants, I still point out the good. I still point out the good people who are doing their job inside those videos. Like one video, I was in Tampa, and the security guard was a tyrant. Then I had a tyrant police officer trying to violate my rights. But the one person who was doing their job and actually serving the people the right way was the city clerk. She did a fantastic job, and I made sure I pointed that out. I also pointed out when I went to a building in Aventura, Miami, where the police chief did an exceptional job of treating me with respect, explaining things, talking about things, and just having a conversation and a dialogue with me, and telling me that he appreciates what I'm doing. And he's glad I go about it the way that I do. You don't know what a tyrant is. What is your definition of a tyrant? A tyrant is somebody who wants to have power and exert their power over people, and they want it by any means. Well, we have a different culture. Not saying mine is better. It's way less violent here. Okay. You're you're saying that I don't know what a tyrant is based on what? You're saying because we're not dealing with a dictator, that we don't have tyrants in the country. Cops, cops definitely try to act as tyrants. They definitely do, because they believe they have all the power. I visited, before it became Russia, I visited North Korea, I visited Cuba. Go try your stuff there. Go there. Why would I go to dictatorships to exercise freedom? Like, that makes no sense, because if America is built on freedom, why would I go somewhere else to try to exert freedom instead of exerting my freedom in the place that was founded on freedom? Think about that. That's the point I make. The people who don't like freedom need to go to those places, and they need to stop bringing the ideology of those places here to America. To see what real, I know what real tyranny is. That's why I tell people that the way that they speak and the way that they talk about things, they should move to North Korea. They shouldn't want to experience those things in America where they're free at. I'm why would I go to that? Makes, I don't know how you think, but I don't think the way you think. I've done research on I've done a lot of research on North Korea. That's that's why I tell people that's where they need to go if they don't like freedom. And here or in America, they're trying to do things, and like, they want people to go to jail just because they don't like them. They don't like their attitude. They don't like their personality. So that person should go to jail. That person should go to jail because we don't like them doing what they're doing. Those are North Korean rules, not American rules. A security guard is a tyrant in their capacity, yeah. If you can only see a tyrant being a dictator or a ruler over a entire country, then okay, I see your point. But you have tyrants on a large scale, and you have tyrants on a mini scale. Maybe you can call them practicing tyrants, or um, wannabe tyrants. Maybe wannabe tyrants is better. Maybe that will work for the way you process things. If I said wannabe tyrants, exactly, Randy. If that's what I'm saying. If you want to just, okay, you look at one level or one scale of a tyrant, okay, but I don't see it that way. I think there's tyrants on every scale. Like, even somebody with absolutely no power at all can be a tyrant. A lot of managers and businesses are tyrants. They have the power over their staff, and they become tyrants. If you can't see that, then that's just, hey, that's just you. I'm saying, I say the US is more like passive tyranny versus North Korea, which is active tyranny. Um, I can see that. I can see where you're coming from with that. Okay, well, I can't change your view. You know, you see things how you see things. I don't see it that way. I I feel like some some try to be tyrannical, but it's only to combat the tyranny that they're up against. So in order to not be controlled or by a tyrant, you have to kind of match their energy. And that's what some people who exercise their rights do. They match the energy, or they match the level uh of the encounter. Cops try to escalate, a situation as soon as they hop on it. So what certain people do who exercise their rights do is that they escalate with them. You want to get loud, I'm gonna get loud. If you want to get louder, I'm gonna get louder. If you want to uh talk down on me, I'm gonna talk down on you. Like, certain people just match it. I'm not really that type of person. You know, I'm not gonna try to match, where you at, unless I have to. A certain situation where I absolutely have to, but most times I don't go about things that way, because if you way up here and I'm meeting you with a rational mind, you're gonna look like a clown, and that's just gonna embarrass yourself. But if I'm just up there yelling with you, and we both just going at it, now we both look crazy. I don't operate like that. Yeah. Yeah. North Korea is, you know, I never say that America is a lot more free than a lot of other places. I will say that, but that doesn't mean we don't have issues. And that doesn't mean that they don't try to attack free speech. That doesn't mean that they don't try to attack people who are activists and advocates for government transparency and holding the government accountable. We know that they assassinate those people. It's not a mystery. You say ask North Cal Cop Watch that just shut down the channel. Okay, that should them shutting down their channel or anything like that should people should be worried about stuff like that. You if you're not worried that they are trying to shut everybody up who's saying something about things that are wrong, if you don't think, as somebody who's living in the place that's happening at, if you're not concerned about that, then I don't know what to say about you. So you believe that you should be able to film inside a social security office? I believe that my freedom of press should be in every public building and every public place in that building. If they so yes, if they can record me in that office, I definitely can record them. I, how can you go somewhere where they're recording you and they get mad when you start recording? How does that make sense to you? And not only are they recording you, but since they're recording you in a public building, that footage becomes public information. So it's public record, meaning you can actually, for your request, that information, but they make it really difficult. So because they make it so difficult before you request that information. I'd rather just have my own objective record. I don't know why he shut it down. It could have been plenty of reasons. Did he tell you? Did he say the reason he shut it down? So what did he say the reason was? So you are okay to film and record people personal information. What is your social security number? Filming in public and filming somebody's personal information is different entirely. Nobody is recording somebody's personal social security number. For one, if that is private, you should keep it private. They have sections where you have interviews and everything with the Social Security Administration, and in those private areas, nobody's hovering over their shoulder, pointing down and trying to get their Social Security number. If you're just filming the operation of what's going on and just seeing how things are progressing during the day, then it's not a problem. Nobody's supermax zoom in on people's social security number. Get serious. Come on now. You come on now. Be serious about that. Exactly. But be serious about that. Come on now. Be serious. It was so bad, like many others, he had to close his channel. What you didn't tell me? That's what did he say? And hold on, let me. So in this case that you talking about, what did you say? U.S. versus Cordova? Are you talking about this case right here? This not the case you're talking about, right? Not this one. Exactly. He's a convicted sex offender on minors. What does that have to do with anything? What does that have to do with me? What does that have to do with exercising your rights? What does that have to That's him and his personal situation. That don't have nothing to do with me. That don't I don't get that. That has nothing to do with me. Exactly. It is only unlawful if you use it for unlawful purposes. What's up, Joe Cool? Exactly. That's what the fact that it's an issue for us to record, but we're being recorded constantly, but nobody's asking for our consent. When you go into a business, a public building, they're not asking for your consent. they're assuming that you see the cameras and you know you're on camera now. And by you proceeding into that building while the cameras are there, they're assuming that you consent to being on camera. So if I'm entering a public building with my camera out, it's not, I don't have a hidden camera. I have a camera that's out in the public. You can you can assume you can assume that you're on camera, and if you stay in the frame of the camera or in front of it, you're consenting to being on camera. That's what they're saying to us. So what case are you talking about, Stephen? Because this don't look like nothing about anything that you're talking about. This is the case. This is United States versus Cordova, like you said. Now, okay, what the why 90% of auditors are criminals or felons? What does it have to do with anything? I'm not a criminal or a felon. It doesn't apply to me. So now what? What? Why bring up random stuff that don't have nothing to do with me, nothing to do with what I'm talking about? Now you just, oh well, this person did this person did that. What about this? Like, you like just pointing everywhere. Like somebody having a direct conversation, you just point over there, point over there. Like, what's wrong with you? You're an exception, okay? So what is your point? Okay. So let me go to this. Share this with y'all. So he brought up when Denver Metro audits um got arrested at the Social Security office, and they're saying that he was committing crimes by recording in the Social Security office. So, being the fact that the Social Security is a federal place, you have to think twice about how you're going to go about it, and that's why I say you got to make sure you have a certain backing before you just do certain things. But I mean, I still don't agree with not being able to record in the Social Security office because they're recording already. And if it's public, you have access to that information. Definitely, you don't seem to follow other auditor. You know, all of that, all this is for me is me exercising my rights. All that other stuff that everybody attaches to it, whatever. I'm exercising my rights in public. And I feel like you should be able to exercise your rights in public, especially when you not only do they film you on multiple cameras, like it's not you don't go into a building, you're caught on one camera, you're caught on like 10. And if you should have access to a social security office. And I was doing a report, or I was doing some research, and they talked about how corrupt the Social Security Administration is. If you ever tried to call them and make a complaint on somebody or anything like that, you will find out how corrupt they are, because you can't file a complaint. When you call somebody, you go directly to the administration in Maryland or something like that. When you call the bill, if you call the number on the building in your state or city, they're gonna give you the number to somewhere else. You go to make a report, you can't follow up on the report. You can't have any objective record of what that person told you or what they said to you. So they can do anything and have free reign, because nobody is there to check them. And that is the whole point of doing this, because who is going to check these people when they're doing wrong? How is good? Who expects government to hold itself accountable? Who expects that? Exactly. I don't I don't agree with I don't think that's against the law. I don't think that um but they made rules for them being tyrannical to block transparency. Then you audit the White House, the people house, the Pentagon, the NORAD headquarters. Well, I don't think that's reasonable, because if you are that's not reasonable, because those places I would think would be have a level of security based on the fact that if you put if they were to reveal that, then other countries who don't have the best intentions would be able uh, to be able to see that. Those places, I'm okay with not just being able to walk in, and that for me that's reasonable, that you can't audit those places. Is For me that's reasonable. But for a city hall, a social security office, um, a library, like come on now. Those are the places that don't make sense to me. So film in the office, you'll find corruption. Absolutely. I absolutely have. Yes. If they say people can record police in the course of their duties, then every cop should be mandated to wear body cams, and they shall not mute them for any reason, and uh, free to the public through FOIA requests. Exactly. If they're gonna say that nobody can that you can't get close enough to record, they shouldn't be able to redact anything. They shouldn't be able to mute. They shouldn't be able to redact, and nothing should be deleted. If something gets deleted, there needs to be consequence behind that. Not just, oh, it's deleted. Oh well, it's it's deleted. Oh well. No, something needs to happen. And I believe it should be live streamed. It if not live streamed to the public, live stream to some type of system where the public has access to it, if they want to request it, and something like that. It can be something where like where somebody's reviewing this live footage, you know, have somebody appointed to review the live footage or something. Exactly. Like I can understand those places being restricted, but local government, local government, municipalities and stuff like that, that makes no sense. Like even army bases, yeah, the inside of army base might be, what do they call it? Might be confidential. Even the inside might be confidential or whatever, but they try to tell people that they can't stand outside and film the base. Like, come on. Anybody can go and stand outside the White House and film it. Private life. The government is not private. The only parts of the government that are private are actual parts that are security risks, but real security risks, not just because they don't like it. It needs to be reasonable. Making the White House restricted is reasonable. Making the Pentagon restricted is reasonable. I'm not unreasonable. They are. They're the ones that's unreasonable because they try to make restricted areas in a public city hall. So people film, man, talking to an agent about their problems in Social Security office is fine, but not the Pentagon. Of course, it is. So the militaries are more important than citizens. Okay, let me answer this because maybe you're trying to ask this certain way and try to. I'm not gonna say what you're trying to do here. I'm gonna just answer the question. So filming, talking to an agent about their problems in the SSA office is fine, but not in the Pentagon. So yes, because for one, any information that you are speaking loud enough for my camera to pick up, anybody in there listening can pick up and just write down. So that's for one. And you say the militaries are more important than the citizens. No, but the security of the military is directly important to the citizens of the country. So I can understand them not wanting the layout of a military base from the inside. Say, but you film people private info in a security office. No, you don't. No, you don't. Nobody. If you are putting your private information out in the public, then it's not private anymore. You have made it public. So if they are speaking loud enough for people to overhear, or they just have their information just out where anybody can see, that's on them, because somebody could be looking over your shoulder, memorize your social security number and just write it down. Like, come on. Be serious. And exactly, public areas and public buildings. I'm not saying you going into a private office where somebody's discussing whatever in a public lobby that's public, that everybody has access to. You and if you put out your information in public, then that's on you. A lot of the sanctimonious orders have been overturned by the Supreme Court for being unconstitutional. This new rule of his won't be any different. Just just as Arizona was overruled by the same thing. Yeah, let's go back to it. Yeah, this is the discussion right now. They want 25 feet. They say 25 feet. And I had a picture of 25 feet. So where's that picture of 25 feet? Let's see, 25 feet. Dang, they had an image. I lost the image that they showed 25 foot. Okay. So this is a 25-foot skateboard. Hold on, y'all. So an example of 25 foot, this is a 25-foot long skateboard. So they want you to be at the end of that skateboard and they at the front of the skateboard. And about the middle is 10 feet away. Looks like. In comparison, they want you to be further away than this Godzilla, this life-size Godzilla figure. That's funny. But yeah, so that's 25 feet right here. Now, I don't know why they would need that much space. They want you to be a tennis court away. The SSA freaking lobby is not public. So what is it? So it's a private lobby? It's a private lobby? Come on now. You got to make sense sometimes now. So it's a private lobby. So the SSA, you saying the SSA is a private building? Americans don't care about their personal info. Not surprised. Seen that before in a previous. Everybody gives up their personal information when they apply for a job, um, apply for a bank account, credit. Like your personal information is not all that personal. Most of your information can be looked up online. Okay. Stefan, why does this even if you're not even American, why do you even care about this? Why is this even why are you having a debate or trying to have a debate or discussion about something that you really don't know because you are not from here and you don't live here? I don't know. Wherever you live at, do they have scratch that? Have you read the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, Stephan? That's the first question I should have asked you. Have you read the Bill of Rights and Constitution? If you haven't read those, then I can no longer address you in any type of way. So some feds, districts. Like I said, some fed district courts are more liberal than others, Jim. Just because one district does something does not mean others will too. Yeah, it varies so much from state to state, which I don't think it should. Congress shall make no laws abridging the rights to free press, nor do they get to determine who is or isn't press. I'm not asking you don't need to ask me what I think. I'm asking you directly. Have you have you have you read the Constitution? Have you read the Bill of Rights? Have you? Yes or no? You don't seem to understand that regular people hate you, auditors, and tougher laws are coming. Regular people, what do you consider regular people? People who don't have an idea of, most people don't know their rights. So are those the regular people you talking about? The regular people who don't know their constitutional rights, who don't even know what the Bill of Rights is, who don't know, are you talking about those people? You mean the people who wake up every day and just are consumers in the country and don't do real thinking? Are those the regular people you talking about? Well, you could define what an auditor is. If you break down the definition of an auditor, like, you know, what they say, all it is somebody who is exercising their rights and holding the government accountable to see if those rights are respected. That's what a auditor is. They're seeing if their rights are respected. So if people hate people who want to see if their rights are respected, then okay. Everybody didn't like civil rights activists. Everybody didn't like that's why they got murdered. You think everybody was everybody claimed that they, you know, they was with Martin Luther King and his message and everything, but during the time they was not supporting him like that. They was trying to beat him. They were putting crosses in his yard. They were trying to burn down his house. They were pulling over every car that he was in, locking him up. and you know, people talk about Martin Luther King a lot, but they don't talk about what he actually went through. Malcolm X either. Um, Marcus Garvey. Any any civil rights activists, they always had issues. You know, so just because people ain't get it, then okay. Most people don't know their rights. Most people don't know anything about their civil rights. So they may see somebody exercising their rights and just simply don't understand what's going on. But you never answered the question. Have you read the Bill of Rights? Have you read the Constitution? You say you ain't no Dr. King. And, like, come on. I never said I was Dr. King. I gave an example of somebody who's standing up for civil rights or had any stance against civil rights. Not everybody is gonna agree with it, no matter what. He did it the most peaceful way, and they still assassinated him. Like, come on. Exactly. Stephen, have you read the Bill of Rights? Have you read the Constitution? Have you done that yet? Yes or no? It's a yes or no question. Okay. So you read it, but since it doesn't, you don't care nothing about it, is what you're saying. Because that's all what auditors do. They just stand by the Constitution and try to make sure that it's upheld, to see if it's upheld, and to educate people on it. A lot of people, are sheep. They don't think about things outside of, you know, what they've been fed on TV. Exactly. Rosa Parks was fighting to sit somewhere she wanted in the bus, not make a YouTube video. So I'm glad you brought up Rosa Parks, because they threw Rosa Parks in jail because she didn't want to sit where they told her to sit. You know how many people was like, you should just sit where we tell you to sit and it will be okay. Everything will be good if you just sit where we tell you to sit. And if she never decided, no, I'm not going to do that. And she wasn't the first person that did that. Actually, she was just the face of it. But there was another woman who actually did that first. And, you know, but anyway, that's my point. That's my point. Somebody has to do it, and they're not gonna like it at first. You think they agree with her taking that stance? No. As a white man, there were white men who threw her in jail for that. Jesus could have been called an auditor. He tested the Pharisees and the government and was hated by most people. And I tell people that Jesus was absolutely perfect, and people still hated him. So that tells you, no matter what, no matter how great that you try to be, you're not going to be as perfect as Jesus was. So, I mean, come on. You if you still live your life trying to make everybody like you and be you're not going to have a good life, because it don't matter. Even if you're perfect, people still hate you. You can do everything the right way, people will still hate you. You can literally be there to stand and die for them out of love, and they will still hate you. You trying to save them from. I can imagine, man. Jesus was a true Come on, man. He knew that he was saving people from eternal damnation, and they still hated him and killed him. And you think I'm me being imperfect is gonna try to please everybody in the world? Get out of here. Out your mind. Exactly. Rights are God given, not not government given. The Bill of Rights doesn't exist too well. We, the people, what we can or cannot do. It exists to limit the government or what they shall not do. A bunch of uneducated people teaching it. Okay. That's what you got to say. Yeah, man. Exactly. They said they didn't have YouTube back then. You best believe people would have been people would have had people would have been walking around filming Jesus all day long. They literally were. Their version of filming back then was writing things down. That's how you got the stories, because people wrote it down. Now people don't have to write it down. They could just record him talking. If they could have recorded him talking, they would have recorded him talking. Well, that says a lot. Now that says a lot about everything that you deal with. Okay. You believe the Bible is a fairy tale. Okay. Well, I feel sorry for you, and I'll have to pray for you actually. Exactly, Cajun. If it existed, they would have used it. Yeah, and what whether you believe in the Bible or not is not what we're talking about here. This is not a religious conversation. It's for an example of, it's an example. You have somebody who is perfect, who came to the world with love and tried to save the world, and he was still hated, no matter how perfect he was. That story within itself should explain a lot to you. You hate me now. I can't hate you. I don't even know you. They had you tablet. Exactly. They wrote it down. Then when they got paper, they put it on paper. Oh, it was a joke. That's that's not a joke, because you don't joke about that. That's not what you don't joke about that. But that's on you. You're the one who's gonna have to answer to your creator, not me. The only thing that I would the only thing that I can do is pray for you and tell you that's not the right way to go. If I do that, then I've done my job. Whether you believe it or not, that's on you. Oh, okay. Jen says, what does the Declaration of Independence say? Learn how to intertwine with the Bill of Rights for we the people, not the government. Exactly. the people are supposed to be the ones controlling the government. It's not supposed to be the other way around. And that's what the forefathers were warning and telling us about and trying to prevent. They knew that if government got too much power, that it would become tyrannical, and that's exactly what's happening. They're making unconstitutional laws. They're blocking transparency. They're shutting down accountability. They shutting down transparency and accountability, and they're attacking everybody who wants to uphold that transparency and accountability. And then they've tricked people into being supporters of that tyranny through television, through media, through a lot of different means. They have dumbed down the people to where they don't do any critical thinking anymore. But they can't do that to everybody, just, a lot of people. Your founding fathers would beat the crap out of any auditor if they would be able to come back. Okay. So the founding fathers would beat the crap out of somebody who decided to exercise the rights that were put in place. That's what you have to say. I get it. So everything you say is a joke, not just I got it. Yeah, but this the bill, y'all. So here it says in this bill that Rizzo dubbed his measure the Halo bill, and just the name is crazy. They call it the Halo bill. So this is the bill to so they're angels. He's trying to say they're angels, and he's gonna give them a bill to protect the angels, I guess. So by authorizing it, he said the governor and the legislators are letting every law enforcement officer and first responder in the state know that not to know that we not only stand with them, but continue to do whatever we must to protect and serve them as they protect and serve us. So that is a member of the government telling another section of the government that we are here to protect and serve you so you can protect and serve us. So that's the government protecting and serving itself so itself can protect and serve it. and they and they're saying that this bill will allow them to hit people with a second degree misdemeanor if they don't back up 25 feet. Well, it don't say that. It says anyone who enters an area to harass, impede, or threaten. So all they would have to prove intention of doing any of those. How do they prove that? How are they going to prove that unless you are directly unless you are directly impeding, like you actually are stepping in their way, blocking somebody or something. And what if they're beating somebody to death and you don't want them to beat that person to death, so you step in to pull them off of beating that person to death because another officer isn't doing it? Then what? They would charge you with this misdemeanor. So it's to keep people back and allow them to do their tyranny in peace. y'all just think of so many scenarios where this could, like, this would be the most. Imagine the things that they will make people watch from 25 feet away, and nobody, everybody's afraid to do something because, you know, because this bill is in place, and they call this a tool at their disposal. This is a weapon. This is another weapon that they've given to law enforcement. Yeah, you do. Oh, you do it the wrong way. Well, they said Rosa Parks did it the wrong way. They say Martin Luther King did it the wrong way. They say anybody who did it, whatever way they decide to do, did it the wrong way. Harassing a secretary, receptionist, clerk, secretary does nothing. You will never go to the top to the decision makers. Okay, got to start somewhere, and nobody's harassing them. That's the nobody's harassing them. Just because you go in and you want to know what's going on in your public building that you funding, that's not harassment. Harassment is if I went in there and I started calling them names. Um, I kept trying to bother them, or like actual stuff, like tangible stuff that where I'm directly trying to harass them. Me going about my business and them trying to get involved in my business and me not letting them is not harassment. Our founder, our founding fathers went to war over a 3% tax. our founding our founding fathers would have kicked our ours for letting government get this far, exactly, out of hand. Was, what did it say? Usher Operation. I'm not sure what that word is, but yeah, they wanted us to not let it even get this far, and it's gotten this far. But yeah, so this is, you know, the second degree misdemeanor, and this is what is examples of misdemeanors in Florida. And standing too close is going to be amongst these misdemeanors. Let's read out these misdemeanors and see how standing too closely uh, sits in here. So you got DUI, you got vandalism, you got petty theft, you got shoplifting, you got minor battery, you got disorderly conduct. We're gonna go into disorderly conduct. Uh, you got marijuana possession, you got domestic violence, you got driving without a license or with suspended license. Then you got selling or giving alcohol to someone under the age of 21. So selling or giving alcohol to someone under 21 is equivalent to standing too close to a police officer when they're on the scene. And by standing too close, I'm saying being within 25 feet. Crazy. How is how is this how is this on how is this on there? Like, come on. So I'm gonna go down the list of this. DUI, possible victim. You possibly can have a victim from DUI, but there's no victim there unless they've gotten in a car crash or something. Vandalism. There's a victim there, whoever owns the property. Petty theft, victim, whoever owns the property. Shoplifting, victim, whoever owns the property. Minor battery, victim, whoever was beat or battered. Disorderly conduct, Who's the victim? Marijuana possession. Who's the victim? Domestic violence. Victim. Whoever was the recipient of the violence. Driving without a license or with suspended license. No victim. Selling or giving alcohol to someone under 21. Victim. Whoever they gave alcohol to under that age. And and depending on where you are, or you know uh, that can be a victim and it can't be a victim. It depends on how you feel about minors or people under that age consuming alcohol or any type of drugs or anything like that. But that's a different topic within itself. So disorderly conduct in West Palm Beach is defined as disrupting the peace and quiet of general public, brawling or fighting, breaking the morals of public decency, or engaging in any conduct which would constitute a breach of peace. So that's why they can hit people with disorderly conduct, because it's so broad. They can say, "Oh, you raised your voice too much. We're gonna hit you with disorderly conduct." That's crazy. These charges are punishable by a second degree misdemeanor, which can result to up to 60 days in prison. That's crazy. In prison, they didn't say jail. In prison for that, and a $500 fine, with the added disadvantage of a criminal conviction on your record, making employment difficult in the future. If should you be found guilty of this offense. That's crazy. So not only if you now you have a record for standing too close and holding the government accountable. They try to get you a record, so it's harder in your life in the future. Then they say your sentence may also be greater if compounded with another crime such as resisting arrest. So that they'll try to throw a bogus charge on you and then hit you with resisting because you was asking questions about the bogus charge. Now they hit you with resisting. Oh man. You want to make sure you have experienced West Palm Beach criminal defense attorney on your side for sure. But what I'm saying, it can be a common catch-all charge used by police to demonstrate authority in a disorderly public situation. You could also find yourself charged with disorderly intoxication if you've been drinking an alcoholic beverage in a public place and are causing a public disturbance. In order to be found guilty of disorderly conduct, a prosecutor will need to prove that you acted in a way that's disruptive to the moral decency of the public or those who witnessed it. In many cases, it can be argued that a person's First Amendment rights are being hindered unjustly. It is the police officer who adjudicates whether or not a person is intoxicated or if they are posing a threat public to the public or property. Often the person who issued the original complaint disappears and is no longer available for questioning by the state, and the charges are dropped. Exactly. But all right, y'all. So we've been on for a while now, but I just really wanted to go over this bill that DeSantis has put in place. I don't think it's gonna fly. I don't think it's gonna stay too long. It's too vague. It's too many variables to it, and the fact that I think this is just a charge just to throw on people, but I don't think that this is a charge that's going to stick because they would have to prove that the person was harassing, and unless the person is actually harassing, or like we'll have to get into the definition of what they consider harassment, who decided that definition, and does it apply. Then you have to say impeding. Then you have to go into the impeding. Anyone who enters the area to harass, and you gotta they have to prove that the intention of the person entering that area of 25 feet was to harass, impede, or threaten. So they're saying anybody outside of that 25 feet can harass and impede or threaten, and it's not against the law. Come on now, that's not going to make no sense. But then you have how would they improve impeding on the stop? Does impeding mean them simply uh voicing their opinion while they're on the scene recording, or or speaking freely? Is that considered impeding? Or, then they have to argue. Then it will be an argument. Well, that's a violation of the First Amendment right, and like this is, I don't see this sticking with. If you get you a decent lawyer, I don't see any of this sticking. I don't I don't see this charge as really a charge that's to stick on somebody. I think this is more. I think this charge is more to allow the cop to just lock them up and just have authority or control over the situation. I don't think this charge would stick. I think it'll be dropped as soon as it's presented to the DA. And if it's not dropped as soon as it's presented to DA, I believe that it'll be dismissed. If you hire a lawyer, a decent lawyer, I think it'll be dismissed. And I think it's opening up the city to civil litigation, because it's going to be fought once this charge is dropped. Well, if that charge is dropped, then that means you arrested them falsely or unlawfully. So now you've opened the city up to a lawsuit. That's how I see this playing out. You too, Jim. I appreciate y'all. And I'm out. AWB, I'm out.